So until now what I have covered, I'll just go give you a small overview, then we will move forward. ठीक है, तो पहले सबसे पहले ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इस इन दिस सेक्शन वी हैव टू कंप्लीट 4 chapters, 4 topics. Okay, the topics like a basic financial statement, there's a performance analysis, ratios and profitability, and then after some analytical issues related to the financial accounting. These are the things we are going to cover. Okay, so in the basic, what we have already done the common size and the statement of common size and the statement of cash flows. That what we have done. So common size and comparatives first we have completed in these portions. Then after I have done the vertical and horizontal analysis. So vertical and horizontal was what? Vertical was like doing the common size analysis. Okay, when we say the horizontal, we did the comparative financial statement that we did for the like comparison between the 2 years. Then after we have completed some of the financial ratios that we have started with doing working capital. Working capital is the difference between the current asset and the current liability. Then after we did the some formula that is called the current ratio, quick ratio, cash ratio and cash flow ratios. So these are the very formula based things, but out of which I have taken some of the examples and I have discussed the 5-6 different types of situations which you may face in the exam, that I have already covered until now. I think you may have remember everything. Then we have covered about the what activity ratio. Activity ratio we have covered what AR turnover and the inventory turnover, if I am not wrong. These two ratios we have already covered. Now we will come to the solvency ratio. Solvency is nothing. It shows that how much solvent you are. You are in the ability to pay your debt. That's from these ratios we will be able to understand. तो उसमें सबसे पहले है debt to equity ratios. So debt to equity ratios, there are n numbers of formula for this, but here you have to follow the formula what the CMA has approved. Okay, they are checking when you are going for exams. They check how you are taking the total liability, how you are taking the total equities. These are the formula you will learn here. So before moving forward, we will time interest earned ratio, debt to asset ratio. This we will do the formula, but before moving forward, we have some small formula that we will cover first, because we are just following the sequence of the book. So पहला है cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle is nothing. This shows your how much time you are generally taking to convert your inventory into the cash. So in exam, this can be considered to be the net. The one is called the operating cycle. The other is called the net operating cycle. So when you say the net operating cycle, you are actually removing the amount which you are taking when you are converting your AP, like when you are paying your cash to your AP, that point that number of days you are reducing. तो पहले ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल को समझते हैं. तो ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल्स में क्या है कि मान लो कि आपका कोई एक इन्वेंट्री है. मान ले आपने कोई एक एग्जांपल्स ले लेते हैं अपने ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल्स के लिए. So like आपके पास इन्वेंट्री you have to keep for say 5 days. Okay, first you bring the raw material. Raw materials generally take the 5 days to come, and you are storing the raw material. Then after you convert the raw material into the WIP, it takes the 10 days. Then from WIP to finished goods, you are converting the WIP into the finished good. It takes like 8 days. So this is the conversion days needed to convert the raw material into the finished goods. Then after, once the finished goods, when the raw material is converted into the finished goods, you may need time for this selling. So when you sell it, when it goes to the AR, actually you take 45 days to get your collection. Okay, then from AR to cash, you have to keep certain cash in your hand always. So you want to understand how much is the operating cycle. Say if you are keeping 50 days equivalent to the sell cash in your business, so it means your operating cycle will include these all the factors, this all the days. So you can say that your operating cycle is for 83 days. So when you are bringing the raw material and converting into the cash, and again you paying this money to the account payable. So before until paying the account payables, if you are keeping this cash for 83 days, in that case you are also keeping the, you are getting the credit term from the account payable. So say you are getting the credit term for 20 days. So in that case your cash cycle is going to be the 63 days. So after cycle कितने का रहेगा? Net working operating cycles will be 63 days. I have seen there was one question was asked based on this question in the exam. So this is like what? First, there are the three calculations shows below, and measure the time from where the firm pay for the material and labor on the time to collect the cash from the sales, and on the gross certain the CCCS to minimize your need of financing. The moment you minimize your cash operating cycles, the cash conversion cycle, it means you don't need much cash. So अगर आपको minimize अगर करना है in this scenario, what should be the ideal way? You can ask your AP to increase your credit term. Like here the AP is giving you the just 20 days credit term. If you are good in negotiation, you can ask them, okay, get me the 40 days. So in that case you can reduce your operating cycle or cash conversion cycle by 20 more days. So if you want to be risk free, or you want to have like less, because you know the moment you are keeping your long cash conversion cycle, it means you need more cash to do your business. So if you are shortening it, actually you are reducing the cash. So you need not more cash, you need less cash to do your operation. So your business के normal process है. So this is also called the net operating cycle. Shorten the firm's cash conversion cycle improves the profitability, because जैसे जैसे the moment you start selling the goods into the frequently, more easy, more fast, आपकी profitability will also improve. So if in that case, अगर आपको लंबा, अगर आपको ये चाहिए कैश साइकिल चाहिए, तो maybe you need to take the more fund from the bank and there would be some financing charges. तो यहाँ पर से तीन चीजें conclude हो के आती है. First, how you calculate your cash conversion cycle. The cash conversion cycle start from the raw material to WIP to finished goods, plus sales, then plus cash collections, then minus AP. So these are the general process where you can calculate your operating cycle. The main point of calculating this cycle is to give you an idea how much how much period you should keep. What the shorten the cycle, the beneficial the company, because if you want to if your cycle is bigger, you may require the more fund, and in that case you will go to the bank and you will ask the financing. So there will be additional cost of financing also. Or what is the easiest way of to shorten your cycle? You can ask your creditors to give you more credit terms. So this way you can shorten your cycle. ठीक है. तो आपने रॉ मटेरियल रिसीव किया, फिर आपने क्या किया, सेल किया फिनिश गुड्स को, देन यू आपने पैसे कलेक्ट कर लिए. तो ये पूरा का पूरा प्रोसेस था. अब इसके बीच में ये पूरा का पूरा को ऐड किया, इसमें से जो टाइम लगा क्या हमको पैसे देने का टाइम, दैट हमको रिड्यूस करना है. देन आफ्टर आई विल गेट द कैश कलेक्शन, कैश कन्वर्जन cycle. Okay, so sometime how you will calculate the cash, like inventory conversion period, how much time generally it will take to convert your inventory. So for that, so in that case, what is the formula? First of all, you need to know the average inventory divided by COGS per day. So when you say the COGS per day, it means this you may need the COGS. So COGS निकालने का formula, can somebody suggest me? There is a sales minus GP, that is going to be the COGS, जिसको हम बोलते हैं cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. So if you got the cost of goods sold, you can divide by 360. So you will get the so you will get the conversion period. So in that case, how you will calculate? So maybe I want to calculate for you. Okay, there is a cell. There is a cell of like 100,000. Okay, and you are having the GP. GP is your 25%. So JP is your like 20. Okay, this is your COGS. Okay, what is the days, like in a year there is a 365 days. So what is the per day? 205 COGS per day, and you have an average inventory. Say you have an inventory opening 15,000, closing inventory say you have a 25,000. So in that case, so your average inventory is how much? 20,000. So number of days, how many days you have to store your inventory, and or in the other way you can say that how many days your inventory will last. So the number of conversion days you can find out by, so it means whatever the inventory you are keeping, that can cater your 97 days. Whatever the inventory you are keeping, that can cater your 97 days. Okay, so this is just to know what is the inventory conversion period. So this way you can calculate your inventory conversion period. Okay, there is a called receivable conversion period. So receivable conversion period is what? So receivable conversion period, if you want to calculate, so first you need to know the credit sale, because cash sale you don't need to wait. Cash sale you don't need to wait. Okay, and what is the average average AR? Why average AR? Because for the balance sheet item you have to do the average to get the correct numbers. Say you have a opening AR is 15,000 and the closing AR is say so what is your average AR? So you will do the sum of so this is your average AR. So you need first AR turnover. So AR turnover, what is the formula? Credit sales divided by average. So credit sale was, say I have taken as a credit sales of 90,000. So in that case, what is the AR turnover? The AR turnover is 5.12. And what is the days for collecting your cash? How many days your cash is being kept by your data is 365 divided by, so it means generally 71 days your customer keeps your money. So if you want to convert or get your cash, you need to wait for 70 days. So in that case, If you just want to know what is the cash cycle here, operating cycle, so you can add these two numbers. It will give you the idea what is the cycle, what is the operating cycle. So your operating cycle in this given case is how much? 70 plus 97. So I can say that 163 days is the operating cycle in this given scenario. So in this given scenario, the number of operating days is how much? 168 days. Now how to calculate the AP days? So AP days also you need to know credit purchase, because for the cash purchase you don't need to wait. So credit purchase, say 85,000. You need to know average creditors. So opening creditors is how, is say in your cases 10,000, and closing creditors is say 18,000. So what would be the average? 28 divided by 2. So what is the creditors turnover? So your creditors turnover will be 85 days divided by, so it means 6.07. So what is the three number of days? How many days you keep your the creditors money? It will show. You keep the money for 60 days. So if you want to know in net how many days, what is the operating cycle for you, minus this 60 days. So 108 days is the operating cycle. If you want to run one cycle, you need to wait for your fund for 108 days. If you shorten the period, it will improve your profitability. The reason, because the moment you start collecting faster, it will again, the period will be reduced. The moment you are getting the more lag period from the creditors, it will get shortened. तो आपकी बिजनेस के बेनिफिट्स क्या है इसमें, क्योंकि जितना छोटा होगा उतना अच्छा होगा. द रीजन कि आपकी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी, नंबर ऑफ टर्नओवर्स विल बी हाई, तो आपकी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बढ़ जाएगी. और द सेकंड, अगर आप इसको लंबा करोगे, देन यू नीड टू हैव द फंड, एंड फॉर दैट यू नीड टू गो फॉर द फाइनेंसिंग, एंड देयर इज अ एडिशनल कॉस्ट फॉर दैट. So this is called the operating cycle. You can expect a small question in exam. There is nothing more than that. There is only one question you can expect out of it. Okay. This I have already discussed with you when I was discussing the scenarios. Sensitivity analysis on the liquidity ratio. That's what I have discussed, naming as a ratio algebra. What will be the impact if denominator increase, if the denominator decrease? What would be the impact on your ratio? So this was already discussed, and this is the example for that. I have taken 10 scenario here. It's not just 5. I have taken the 10 scenario. If like 5 case 1 and 5 for the case 2. So if you're ready with this, if you just revise this, you will understand how this ratio works, how the ratio algebra works. Okay. Now, in the capital structure, generally in the capital structure, there is a two things. One is your own fund, the other is called the borrowed fund. So in addition to the assessing the company ability to meet the short-term obligation, it is important to evaluate the ability to pay long-term debts as they mature. They require the comparing the amount of the long-term obligation and the company ability to generate the cash in long-term. This ability is greater affected by the long-term debt of the company and relation to the equity. So in that case, now you want to understand how the equity and debts are being connected to each other. Now the company's structure affects both its risk and return. So there is a two term here. One is called the risk and the return. Risk and the returns both are inversely related to each other. If the project are risky, it means the return will what? Less or high. So it's not inversely related, it's a directly related, because if the risk is more, your return will be high. Okay, so in that case, related to the financial leverage. So this is just a line on which you can have one MCQ. Okay, so debt that is too low may result a company not being able to take the full advantage of the opportunity. It means if you don't have the borrowed fund, means you have to run with your own fund. Maybe you will not able to encash some of the opportunity because of the shortage of fund. Or on the second part, sometimes the debts you have a sometime what debts you have to always give them the fix whatever be the earning. Sometime what happens, you earn 10% and you got the loan or the debentures at the rate of 8%. So in that case, what will happen, you can generate more business to the you can do the more business and you can get the more return. So इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि अगर कंपनी में आपके पास अगर डिबेंचर्स का शेयर कम है तो आपके पास बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज आप अवेल नहीं कर पाओगे ड्यू टू द शॉर्टेज ऑफ फंड. एंड देयर इज अनदर वे कि अगर मार्केट में अपॉर्चुनिटी इज गुड, इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन, आपको कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल से जो बेनिफिट्स लीवरेजिंग की मिलने वाली थी, यू विल नॉट एबल टू गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ leverage. Again, if the debts are too high, may affect the company ability to weather difficult economic situations and continue to pay its obligations, debt or interest come true. So in that case, what is happening? So if you have a too much debts also, in that case also you are not in the safe positions. You can be in the trouble because in the economic slowdown, or in that case if your whole earning is 6% and you have obligation of 8%, so in that case what will happen, you may face the more difficulties. So here if it is too low also, that you are not able to take the advantage, but if it is too high, then there is a risk that you are not able to pay your obligation either redemption time or at the interest time. So there is a no optimal leverage numbers. ये vary करता होता है industry and the firms. So there is no like you cannot fix formula. Okay, you should keep 20% loan fund or 75% borrow own fund or 60% own fund or 40% borrowed fund. There is no such kind of formulas exist. The only things that you need to do the cost of capital analysis that you will learn in the next chapter. That is called the cost of equities, cost of debenture, and you will have the average cost of capital. Based on that, you can decide how much percent you can afford, how much maximum debentures you can afford in your business to get the maximum return. So firm have a mix of debt, equity, financing, capital. Debenture holder, including the financial institution and the corporate bond, are often, but not always, promised to return based on the stated return. So in that case, आपके पास ये बोलते कि आपके पास कुछ भी रहेगा. Firm have a mix of debt and equity financing. Debt holder, including the financial and the corporate bond, are often, but not always, promised a return based on the stated interest rate of. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? They are the cost associated with the issuing the debentures and the equity. The debt is usually cheaper, but will increase the firm's ratio. ठीक है, तो अभी क्या होगा कि डेट्स आप इशू करते हो ना, वो आपको थोड़ा सा चीपर होगा बिकॉज वहां पे आपको क्या होगा, एक सर्टेन रेट पे यू विल गेट द डिबेंचर्स अमाउंट, यू कैन गेट द फंडिंग फ्रॉम द मार्केट. पर इक्विटीज में क्या होता है, रिटर्न जो होता है वो कंसिस्टेंट नहीं होता है. इक्विटीज आर द शेयर होल्डर्स, आर द रियल ओनर ऑफ द बिजनेस, सो देयर रिटर्न्स जो होते हैं कैन नॉट बी फिक्स्ड. सो इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन, इट्स अ रिस्की थिंग. Most companies maintain the balanced debt equity based on the cost of capital for each and the level of the risk they wish to maintain. That's what I have told you. The capital structure is purely depends upon the cost of capital. Okay, so there is no fixed formula for that. अब यहाँ पे अपने पढ़ेंगे the company use the leverage in two way. I think now Tawhid question can be answers. how the leverage works, what are the leverage, and what is the benefits of having the leverage in the business. So the company uses the leverage is two way. The one is the financial way, and the other is the operating way. So operating is what? Operating leverage is the existence of fixed operating cost because the costs are fixed. So higher the percentage of operating leverage, the greater the effect change in the sales revenue have on the operating income. इसका मतलब ये हुआ, in the normal language I want to explain you, ये operating leverage is you are just trying to getting the advantage of your fixed cost. Okay, now you can understand with the example. So it's a company A, you have a company B. So company B have a sale of 10,000, company B have a sale of 15,000, and unit rate is 10 for both the company, and variable cost is say 40% for both the company. So it means how much is the variable cost? 4. So what is the contribution? 6. Now you have a fixed cost that is fixed for both the company is 5,000 and 5,000. So what is your, say 50,000. So what is your EBIT? So your EBIT is 10,000 and 40,000. Can you just tell me, based on this information, which company is getting the more benefit of their fixed cost? A Limited is getting the more benefits. Is it? Or B Limited is B is getting the more benefits? See, what is the average cost here? Average fixed cost. Or you can say what is the total cost here? 50,000 plus 10,000 multiplied by 4. What is the total cost here? 90,000. And what is the total cost here? 110,000. Are you agree with this or no? Do you agree with this? Okay. And what is the average cost for him? What is the average cost for him? Now tell me, who is the beneficial? Who is the Siana? Who is more intelligent? See, variable cost per unit is how much for him? 4 and 4. There is no changes. But average fixed cost is got in decrease is how much? Now he is actually using his resources is more efficient way. B is using his resources in more efficient, so that he can reduce his total cost, and he can sell and get the more profit. He is getting the more profit here. If you see the profit, if you see the EBIT, B is getting 30,000 more. Okay. or in the per unit also, if you try to understand what is the, in the per unit also itself he is getting more, you know, the cost benefits. He has a benefit of 1.67. Okay, so in that case he can reduce the price, he can create the competitions, he can make the A out. So that what is the benefits he has, that what the leverage he has, because he produced more so that his cost get reduced. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है ऑपरेटिंग लेवल पे, is the existence of the fixed operating cost, because the costs are fixed and the higher the percentage of operating leverage, the greater the effect change in the sales revenue have on the operating income. अभी अपने चेक करेंगे कि लेवरेज का परसेंटेज क्या है. So when I say the degree of operating leverage, there is a formula called contribution by EBIT. So now we will check the formula contributions by EBIT. What is the contributions? What is the contribution here? Divide by, sorry, it says it. What is the formula here? डिग्री ऑफ ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज का फॉर्मूला क्या होता है जी? सेम फॉर्मूला ना? वो तो मान लो एक ही बिजनेस का दो डिफरेंट लेवल पे है, तो द फर्स्ट फॉर्मूला इज दिस ना. ईबीआईटी बाय कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है या कंट्रीब्यूशन बाय ईबीआईटी होता है? कंफर्म? नो. करेक्ट है. So the formula is EBIT by EBT. No, 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 no. Contributions divided by operating income, fixed cost divided by operating leverage is also called fixed cost divided by percentage change in EBIT divided by EBT. Contributions divided by sorry, contributions divided by EBIT. This is the formula. Percentage change in EBIT divided by percentage change in turnover. This is another formula also. But this is the basic formula. So तो कॉस्ट यहाँ पे चूंकि फिक्स होता है, and the higher the percentage of operating leverage, the greater the effect in sales revenue having on the operating income. अब इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या है परसेंटेज पे, तो अपने नहीं कर सकते. द रीजन बिहाइंड, we don't have change in there is a no 2 years formula is here. It is a very simple like contributions by EBIT DOL calculations. So only what I wanted to explain you here कि आपका क्या होता है कि you are getting the more benefits when you are producing more. So in that case what we have seen here कि आप जब 10,000 प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो या 10,000 का सेल कर रहे हो विद अ गिवन सिनेरियो कि फिक्स कॉस्ट सेम है, तो आपका एवरेज कॉस्ट 9 रुपीज आता है. बट फॉर द कंपनी भी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर कि आपने क्या किया, you have reduced your cost by increasing your output. So here you are getting the leverage from the fixed cost because the fixed cost is fixed. Okay, so that what we are actually learning at the DOL. The financial leverage is what? The financial leverage gives the idea or gives the benefits from the interest cost. Gives the benefit from the interest cost. So what is saying? Financial leverage is raising the capital through the debt rather than equity. So financial leverage says that okay, you do the financing from the debentures rather than going to the equity, because the debentures holders are entitled to interest. The owner shares the income of the company. So the interests are fixed. So in that case, what is happening here? Say everything is fine in the company A. Say EBIT is 20,000 and company B is EBIT is how much? Again 20,000. If the company have an interest of if the company A has a debenture and B has no debenture, okay, or is the less debenture. So the company A has an interest of 10,000, company B has an interest of 5,000. So what will be happening here? If so, EBT will be earning before tax is how much? 10,000, and here is EBT. Then there is a tax here, say 40%. Okay. So here I was considering here say 50-50 because I am just taking. So here the equity is 500 equity was there and 500 debenture was there. Here the debenture was less. The reason the interest is less. Say the debenture is here 200 and equity is here 800, because here the debentures are less. So in that case, what is the EPS? You will find it here. The earning per share. Earning per share is earning available for equity per shares divided by number of equities. So number of equities. So in this case, what is happened? Okay. So number of debentures. So in that case, what we have understood here कि अगर मेरे पास debentures ज़्यादा होगा and we have to pay the fixed interest, so in that case we can have the more equities available for the equity share. So more profit will be available for the equity share holder after paying the tax. Here what happened? We did not put the much debenture holder, so we did not pay the interest. So in that case, what happens? The rest amount goes to the income tax. Here the income tax has gone because the debenture interest is actually the income tax saving tools also. So the moment you are having the greater number of the debentures, you are actually, if the company is generating the good amount of profit, in that case what will happen? You are creating the more values to the equity share holder. This is how the financial leverage talks about. तो आपका क्या रहेगा कि financial leverage आपको बताता है कि you should raise the fund from the debenture rather than issuing more equities, provided this situations works where you have a return more than the interest. But this situation will not work if your cost of interest is more than the return. So when the company can earn the higher rate of returns on its investments, its options, its operation, then the interest on debt, it could increase the return of the investor by increasing the growth of the company operation through the borrowed capital. So this financial leverage, this benefit you can only avail if there is a increasing trend कि आपका return is more than the borrowed fund. Then this is fine. In the opposite scenario, it will not work because आपका fixed cost will start going. तो आपका क्या हो जाएगा? Capital erosion start हो जाएगा. So this financial leverage only work when there is a your return is higher than your cost of financing. तो ये थोड़ा सा आपको एग्जाम में, और ये फार्मूला यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट योर एग्जाम, फिनेंशियल लीवरेज रेशियो निकालना है। तो फिनेंशियल लीवरेज रेशियो कैसे निकालेंगे, ये निकालेंगे एसेट बाय इक्विटी, एसेट बाय इक्विटी। अब इसको क्या मतलब है, इसका मतलब ये है कि ए फाइनेंशियल रेशियो इम्प्लाई the asset of the company are financed primarily through the debts। बोल रहा है कि रेशियो ग्रेटर देन 2 है, इसका मतलब है कि लायबिलिटीज ज्यादा है। अगर लेस देन 2 है तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपकी इक्विटी ज्यादा है। इट मींस योर इक्विटी फंड इज मोर, यानी आपका ओन फंड ज्यादा है अगर रेशियो 2 से ज्यादा है। तो ये सिंपल है, ये आपको एग्जाम में इफ दे कैन आस्क इन द गिवन लाइक एमसीक्यू में कि your financial leverage is greater than 2, what it signifies, तो आप उसको बता सकते हो कि it shows greater than 2, it means the liability is more than the equity। ठीक है, तो अब बोल रहा है कि financial leverage has magnified the effect on the earnings। when the earnings are positive, the marginal percentage change in the revenue translate the greater percentage change in the अर्निंग पर शेयर्स। तो आपको क्या बोलते हैं कि अगर मार्केट में क्या है, अगर अर्निंग आपकी पॉजिटिव है तो आपके लिए ये बेहतर ऑप्शन है, क्योंकि आपके रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटीज को ये क्या कर देता है, बढ़ा देता है। हैज अ मैग्नीफाइंग इफेक्ट ऑन द लॉस बिकॉज द डेट रिप्रेजेंट द फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट। फॉर एग्जांपल इफ द financial leverage ratio is 3, it means that the company experience a loss, it will experience the greater percentage of the loss। I told you when there is a negative, like your return on investment is less and you are paying the more interest, so in that case it won't be a value addition to the business, it will be a loss positions for you। So it does for the both। अगर आपका प्रॉफिट की तरफ बढ़ रहा है तो इट्स अ गुड ऑप्शन, बट इफ इट इज लाइक योर रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट इज लेस, then it's not advisable to finance from the debenture because your loss will get more increased। ये इसके ऊपर आप एग्जाम पे बहुत ज्यादा क्वेश्चन एक्सपीरियंस नहीं करेंगे, बट टू हैव अ ग्रेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग यू हैव टू रीड इट वन टाइम एट लीस्ट। ओके, नाउ द क्वेश्चन कम्स debt to total asset ratio, total debt divided by total asset। this is the formula you need to remember। debt to total asset का मतलब हो गया total debt divided by total asset। there is a debt to equity, that total debt divided by total equity। when you say the total debt, it includes all the debt, long term, short term, all the debts। okay, debt to capital ratio इसका मतलब क्या हो गया कि current liability plus long term liability divided by total debts plus total equity। because the when we say the capital, we say the equity, when we say the capital ratio, total capital include the own fund plus borrowed fund, own fund plus borrowed fund। when we say the own fund, it means the equity, when we say the borrowed fund, it means the total debts। okay, these are the very simple formula, and in this chapter you have around 20-25 formula। if you remember everything, you can easily get your 25 marks। long term debt to equity ratio, so long term debts, so total debt minus current liability, total debt includes the long term plus short term, you are removing your short term, that is called the current liability divided by equity। this is the simple formula, you can easily remember। and that times interest earned ratio, it means how much time you are earning your interest, like you EBIT covers how much time of your interest cost, so your EBIT divided by your interest expenses। this is very simple। आपने अगर 10,000 अर्न किया और आपका इंटरेस्ट अगर 1000 है, इसका मतलब है you are earning 10 times of your interest। okay, then again comes fixed charges coverage ratio। so fixed charges coverage ratio, when you say when fixed charges, so fixed charges को थोड़ा सा you need to understand, the fixed charges include the interest and required principal repayment and lease। so when we say the fixed charges, it includes two factors, one is the interest as well as the repayment of cash। तो दोनों को you have to consider, you will be provided in the exam। तो cash flow to fixed charges, then cash from operation plus fixed charges plus tax divided by fixed charges. So this is very simple. This is just a formula. You can remember this formula by doing 2-3 questions. Okay. Now we are just stopping here. Next day we will next session we will be starting with the capital structure and risk and everything. But in meantime, I would ask you to practice some of the question. You people have the IMA exam support books you have or you don't have? Okay. I will be sharing in the WhatsApp now. You can get it there. So exam support, you just go and check the FSA, financial statement analysis. There are some basic questions you need to try it. And I am not still giving the my assignment. The reason, because the assignment consists all kind of combination. The first assignment contains 60 questions, the second having 60 questions. So if you do all the 120 questions, you can easily complete this section. हम्म, कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ लो भाई. अभी अभी इसमें बहुत ज्यादा कुछ नहीं आएगा. जस्ट अ स्मॉल फार्मूला बेस्ड थिंग. इंसाफ भाई कुछ फार्मूला तो बहुत बचपन का है ना पढ़ा हुआ. हेलो. अभी भेजेगा. नहीं बहुत पहले का पढ़ा हुआ बचपन का ना. मे बी 5-6 years बिफोर. कोई बात नहीं. I'm just sending the exam support. You can refer the page number I shared with you already. Page number 188 when you go. So there are small formula is there. You need to practice 2-3 questions. Once you read, you will find these questions you have. हाँ हाँ वो भी भेजेगा ना. ओके. थैंक यू भाई. रोहित भाई. थैंक यू. देखो मैं आपको बताया तो फिक्स चार्जेस का मतलब रियल लाइफ में जो फिक्स एसेट है जैसे कि आपका फैक्ट्री का रेंट है तो वो ऑपरेशनल फिक्स चार्जेस हो गया ना. तो अरे फिक्स चार्जेस कवरेज रेशियो डिफरेंट है सर.